Why is that sound always there? I swear we muted that. Could have sworn we muted that. Save those settings. Just disable that. All right. So hopefully, you know, it's still there. So we're gonna, it's muted, so I don't know. All right, we should be good. I think we're good. All right. Thank you all for joining me today. My name is Christopher of Terra Tutoring, and we are going to be doing some homework help along with SAT problems. So if you have a homework question, feel free to submit. Oh, I just realized this was on the screen. This was some calculus I was practicing up on. Hold on one second. Let me delete some of these notes. Select all of them and delete them, and then delete all of these. Great. Okay. So now we have this. We don't need the I don't know if you guys heard that, but my TV just made the Netflix sound out of nowhere. I think I'm haunted. But anyway, what values satisfy the equation above? So your first temptation may be to factor it, to try to do that. Well, first let's write the equation. Try to write factors of -1 that add up to -1. You'll find that there are none. So our last resort is going to have to be the quadratic formula. -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So if we plug this in, let's determine our values of a, b, and c. A is simply 1, b is -1, c is also -1. Yeah, sorry, I had to verify that everything was correct. And then we're going to do negative of -1 plus or minus the square root of -1 squared minus 4 times 1 times -1 all over 2 times 1. A lot of ones here, but we'll deal with it. Negative, negative, double negative makes a positive. 1 plus or minus the square root of -1 squared is just 1. Minus, well, 4 times 1 is 1, and -4 times 1 is -4, times -1 is just +4. So 1 plus 4, all over 2 times 1, which is 2. So we get 1 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. That means either we have 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, or we have 1 minus square roots of 5 over 2. So your answer is going to be C. And let's verify that that is correct, just in case it is in fact C. So we did everything correct. So these two are your answers. Welcome on in if you are just tuning in. My name is Christopher of Terra Tutoring. We offer tutoring services and also these awesome live streams where we do free homework help. So if you have, is this music loud or is that just me? I don't know. I'll turn it down a little bit. Turn it down just a tad. I think that's better. Anyway, we're doing homework help and we offer tutoring services at terranovatutoring.com, so feel free to check that out. Link is in the Twitch and YouTube profiles. So, our next question, I'll check the homework help Dropbox shared thing. Nothing there, so we will continue with our SAT questions. How many distinct real solutions are there to the given equation? So we could factor this just to be sure, but usually in a quadratic equation there's going to be two. But because there's always two solutions to a quadratic equation. But the question asks how many distinct and real solutions are there? Distinct means how many unique solutions. So solutions that are not like ones that we already have. And real means just not imaginary. Not imaginary numbers. So not involving the square root of a negative number. So no square root of a negative number. I forgot the symbol for the positive number, so I was going to do x belonging to positive, but I can't remember. So the set of positive numbers. So anyway, imaginary or not imaginary, so real and unique, distinct. So if we factor this, we can do 3 times 18, which is going to give us what? 54. And we do the factors of 54, 1 and 54, obviously 3 and 18, 6 and 9, and are there any others that I'm missing? I don't think so. Nah. So which of these add up to 15? Well, that's 6 and 9. And of course, the 15 is actually a negative 15, so we're going to make this a negative 6 and a negative 9 because double negative makes a positive. So all of these factors can be turned into both negatives and still multiplied together to get 54. Now our task, hold on. I just realized we could do something that even simpler. So always observe for patterns, but all three of these numbers are divisible by 3. So we can actually rewrite 3x squared minus 15x plus 18. We can divide all these coefficients by 3, factor that out, and just be left with x squared minus 5x plus 6. And then this becomes a lot easier to factor. So factors of 6 that add up to negative 5, well that's just 1 and 6, or 2 and 3. So negative 2 plus negative 3 equals negative 5. So we have that 3 times x minus 2 times x minus 3. So our solutions are just 2 and 3. So how many solutions do we have? How many distinct real solutions do we have? Exactly 2. Just exactly 2. Because we have x equals 2 and x equals 3. If there are no questions on this one, we'll, move on to the next one. Interesting. Okay. So I'm seeing that there's a second way that we could have solved that without factoring it. That's one way you could have seen. But actually, there's something else known as the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, which tells you exactly how many solutions there are. So if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, in other words, it's positive, then that's two real solutions, two distinct real solutions. Then if the value of b squared minus 4ac is exactly 0, we have one real solution. In all honesty, this is something that I had forgotten, so it's a very nice thing that we came across this problem, so that can serve as a reminder to us both. And if this is less than 0, then we have, I want to say 2 imaginary, but it's really just 0 real solutions. So if we calculate b squared minus 4ac, which is negative 15 squared, 225, minus 4 times 3, which will be 12, times 18 is 180, plus 36 is 216. So 225 minus 216, some number, which is 9. So that is positive. So then we have exactly 2 distinct real solutions. All right, moving on to the next question. I'll check our homework help folder really quickly. Have nothing. So the product of 2 positive integers is 462. If the first integer is 5 greater than twice the second integer, what is the smaller of the 2 integers? So we say the product of 2 positive integers, that means x times y is equal to 462. If the first integer x is equal to 5 greater than twice the second integer, so 5 plus 2y, what is the smaller of the 2 integers? So we have that y times 5 plus 2y is equal to 562. So we solve for y. First, we distribute 5y plus 2y squared is equal to 562. So 462, sorry. 462. So this distributed is now equal to 462. I mean, we can rearrange the order so that it's obvious that this is a quadratic equation. Subtracting 462 from both sides, and we get that this left-hand side, 2y squared plus 5y minus 462, is equal to 0. Now we have ourselves a quadratic equation. Whether we can factor it or not is going to be a more difficult task, but we'll see. So 2 times negative 462 is negative 924. And then we just have to factor this into plus or minus 1 plus or minus 924. I guess it'd really be minus plus or minus 2 minus plus 462 plus or minus, is this divisible by 3? It is 3. That's 100. Wait, 308. What am I talking about? 3 and 308. Is this divisible by 4? It is. So plus or minus 4 minus plus 1. No, it's not divisible by 4. So it won't be divisible by 8, 12, whatever. Not divisible by 5. Is divisible by 6. Plus or minus 6 minus plus 154. Honestly, our best bet might just be to use the quadratic formula with a calculator to really make our lives easier. Now that this is factorable, it is, but we will see. We know it's factorable because it says that the product of 2 positive integers, that means that the 2 solutions to these quadratic equations are integers, and therefore it must be factorable. So I'm going to continue factoring because I've already started. Not a great excuse, but I'm going to keep going with it. So what else could we do? 7? Could it be 7 perhaps? So 700, then 224, 140 leaves 84. So 120 plus 12. So plus or minus 7 minus plus 132. Man, you know what? Let's just use the quadratic formula. As you can see by my process, using the factoring method is going to take a while. Although we will see that plus or minus 14 minus plus 66 plus or minus 28 minus plus 33, and we found our factors. So it's going to be, we can break this up, and since we have a positive 5, it's going to be negative 28 and positive 33. We can break this up into 2 and 14. So then we have 2 and negative 14. So we have 2y plus 33 and y minus 14 equals 0. All right, and then the only integer here is 14. So y is equal to 14, and x was equal to 5 plus 2y. X is equal to 5 plus 2y, which is equal to 5 plus 2 times 14, which is simply equal to 33. Whether that's a coincidence or not, who knows? Who knows? I don't. We found a way to solve it. Let's see what the SAT did to solve it. They did, in fact, did what we did. Wow. They factored it tediously. You could have used the quadratic equation and just plugged it in a formula. Plugged it in a calculator. That's what I would recommend with a problem like this, because going through this factoring process was very long and tedious. So unless you have a calculator that can factor it for you, which I don't know if those are allowed on the SAT, I would recommend plugging this into the quadratic formula, which would work. You'd be working with some big numbers, but the calculator would handle that for you. So you would just have 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus blah, 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 and it would yield your answer. And you'd only have one integer there, so you know to choose the one integer. And so your answer here will be 14, because the smallest of the two integers is 14. Now this is considered one of the harder questions on the SAT. It's the hardest difficulty there is. So the difficulty on the SAT Suite question bank goes from easy to normal to hard or medium, or I forget what they call it. But they have 3 tiers of difficulty basically. And the third tier, this is a third tier question. So if you struggled a bit comprehending this, it's okay. This is one of the harder questions on the SAT Suite question bank. Welcome into our new viewers. Welcome, welcome. Next, we're going to tackle this problem. The function g is defined by g of x is equal to the absolute value of x over a minus 14, where a is less than 0. What is the product of g of 15a and g of 7a? So let's see. This one's pretty straightforward. If g of x is equal to, by the way, if you all have any homework help questions, feel free to post your questions in the link in the description or in the about section for Twitch, and we will help you here live. So the product of 15a, g of 15a, first let's write our equation, our function. And recall that a is less than 0, because otherwise, if it were allowed to be equal to 0, this would be undefined. So I suppose that's why they included that. So g of 15a is going to be equal to just the absolute value of 15a over a. And since a is less than 0, the absolute value of 15a is going to be negative 15a. Negative 15a. So we'll establish that in a second. Minus 14, and then g of 7a is going to be equal to absolute value of 7a over a minus 14. So let's simplify these things. 15a, the absolute value of 15a over a minus 14. So since a is negative, this means that the entirety of 15a is a negative value. So to get a positive value from that, when we're taking the absolute value, recall that the absolute value is the number with the same magnitude, but is positive. So the number is the same, the number part, but the sign is positive. So that means that 15a, the absolute value of 15a, is actually, confusingly, negative 15a. And this is over a minus 14. So this cancels out, and we have negative 15 minus 14, which is negative 29. And then similarly for the next one, g of 7a, the absolute value of 7a is going to be negative 7a. So negative 7a over a minus 14, we have just negative 7 minus 14 equals negative 21. So what we're finding is the product of negative 29 times negative 21, this is going to be equal to negative 609, right? 921, 9, 2, 8, 4. Whoa, I did my math way wrong. It's 29. This can't be right. $29, $21, 9, 2, 180, and 400. So it is 609. Sorry, I was confused there for a second, but we got it. 609 is the product of these two. So if anybody has any questions as to where we got this negative 15a result, I think that'll be the most confusing part of this question. And I'll re-explain it once more. So the fact that a is less than 0 means that this entire result, 15, let's say that it were negative 1, for example. 15 times negative 1 is equal to negative 15. So the absolute value of negative 15 is negative times negative 15, which is just positive 15. So in order to make the whole result of 15a positive, we have to negate the negative value that is a. So we have to say that it's negative 15a. So that's where that key fact where it says a is less than 0, a is less than 0 comes in. That's where that comes in. So if anybody has any homework help questions or any questions on the question that we're covering, feel free to leave them in the chat. If you've posted a homework help question and I haven't seen it, feel free to leave me a chat in the chat, and I'm happy to answer those questions as well. We help with anything from calculus to algebra to geometry to reading and writing to chemistry or physics, whatever it is that you may be needing some help with, we are able to help. So our next problem is this one. The graph shown gives the estimated value of, in dollars, of a tablet as a function of the number of months since it was purchased. What is the best interpretation of the y-intercept of the graph in this context? So I always like to tell my students that the y-intercept, when you're interpreting it in a real-world context, is a initial value or a one-time fee deposit, something that occurs only once. So in this case, we can interpret the y-intercept as an initial value, since the function gives the estimated value of the tablet as a function of the number of months, which means that the y-intercept occurs at 0 month, when the tablet was just launched. So, or sorry, not launched, but when it was just purchased. So that means that the estimated value of the tablet was $225 when it was purchased. Now I realize you can't see the answer choices, so I'll scroll down. In fact, I might just disappear my webcam for a second so you can see the question and the chart and the answer choices all at once. Matter of fact, let's just let's move the webcam over some. There we go. I'm over here now. So, as I was saying, you can think of the y-intercept as an initial value. So the best interpretation here is the estimated value of the tablet was $225 when it was purchased. But for that, you'd have to recognize or know what the y-intercept is. So this point right here, and I'll zoom in on it. This point right here, and I'll even draw on it. Not that point. This point right here is the y-intercept. It's the point at which the graph intercepts, or in other words, touches the y-axis. So at that point, we have 0 months, 0 months. I won't write there because I can't write on a mouse. So 0 months and and you can't see this part, but $225. Excuse me for being so zoomed in. This is how I normally write, but I need to get rid of that bad habit. So 0 months to $225. So if you pay attention to the units, it almost tells the story itself. That at 0 months after being purchased, the value of the tablet is $225. So if there are no questions about this, I'm going to check the homework help folder. No questions have been uploaded. So if you want to be the very first to get homework help from Terra Tutoring, it could be you. It could be you. All you have to do is upload your homework help question and we will answer it here live. You could be our very first. Anyway, I'm going to move myself back to where I was, somewhere over here. All right, which of the following is equivalent to the given expression? This is just a matter of combining like terms. So x plus 5 plus 2x minus 3. So distributing this plus sign to both of these, and because we can just drop the parentheses here, x plus 5 plus 2x and a positive and a negative make a negative. So we have x plus 5 plus 2x minus 3. So we have plus 2x. X plus 2x is 3x. Then we have plus 5 and minus 3. Plus 5, positive 5, minus 3 is just 2. So 3x plus 2 is an equivalent expression. So B would be your correct answer. That one's pretty straightforward. So if there are no questions about that one, whoops, then we'll move on to the next one. All right. The table shows 3 values of x and their corresponding values of g of x, where g of x is equal to f of x over x plus 3. And f is a linear function. What is the y-intercept of the graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane? This is a very interesting question. So we say that, whoa, I'm so zoomed in. G of x is equal to f of x over x plus 3. Now, it tells us that f is a linear function, which means that it takes the form of f of x is equal to mx plus b. So that means that really we can replace this as mx plus b over x plus 3. Next, we can use this to determine the value of m and b. So really, we can rewrite this as mx over x plus 3 plus b over x plus 3, if that helps us, which in my opinion it will. So g of x is equal to mx over x plus 3 plus b over x plus 3. And it's asking of us about the y-intercept of the graph y equals fx, which is just the value b. So that's our ultimate goal, to determine the value b. But first, we have to determine m. That's tough, but we can do it. So we can set up a system of equations, actually, to determine m and b. So first, let's do 0 and -9. -9 is equal to m times 0 x plus 3 plus b over 0 plus 3. That is, oh, actually we don't have to set up a linear equation. If we choose our points this way, this cancels out. M times 0 is just 0. So this cancels out, and we have that b over 3. This is actually surprising. B over 3, if I could create it. Oh my goodness, I'm so bad with technology. New page. What? New page. There we go. B plus 3. That's a highlighter. B plus over 3 is equal to -9. And therefore B is equal to... No, that's not right. What did I do wrong, guys? Let's think. I was very confident in that too. So f of x over x plus 3 is mx plus b over x plus 3, which is in fact equal to mx over x plus 3. So if we input 0, b should be... Oh, I'm silly. Hi, stupid Susan. Sorry, I won't call you stupid Susan. I'm just reading off the name. But hello, Susan. I realized that I entered x and g of x in reverse. So that's my bad. I was ahead of myself. So it's that 0 is equal to m times -9 over -9 plus 3 plus b over -9 plus 3. There we go. So this is equal to -9m over -6 plus b over -6 is equal to 0. And then we can establish a relationship between b and m. So we do, at the end, need a system of linear equations. So first of all, simplifying this part, we get that 0 is equal to 3 over 2m minus 1 over 6b. So then 1 over 6b is equal to 3 over 2m, or b is equal to, well, if we're dividing 3 over 2 divided by 1 over 6 times m, recall our keep change flip rule. So to divide fractions, we keep the numerator, change the operation from division to multiplication, and flip this denominator. So we get 9m, because 3 times 16 is 18, divided by 2 is just 9. So b is equal to 9m. We have that relationship. Finally, we need a second equation. In fact, we don't want to solve for b in terms of m. We want to solve for m in terms of b. And you'll see why shortly. Now, we can do another ordered pair like 5 and 21. So 5 is equal to m times 21 over 21 plus 3 plus b over 21. And then we can solve this for m, or substitute this actually 1 over 9 for b. Sorry, we can substitute 1 over 9b for m. That's what we're going to do. So 5 is, let's simplify this first, 21m over 24 plus b over 21. This simplifies to, if we divide by the numerator and the denominator by 3, this simplifies to 7m over 8 plus b over 21. So then I'm going to replace our value for m right here, 1 over 9b. I'm going to replace that value here. So 7 times 1 over 9b divided by 8 plus b over 21. All this is equal to 5. Now I'm going to be very embarrassed if all my math is wrong, but for now we're good. So 7b, and how we do this is we just move this to the denominator. So 9 times 8, this is 7b over 72, plus b over 21. 5 is equal to, it's seeming very strange that this is going to work, but we're going to figure it out. Don't worry, guys. So factoring out b, we got to find a common denominator here. What could possibly be a common denominator between 72 and 21, you ask? I don't know. It's starting to make me question if I did something wrong. So let's double check with all our math. And if you guys spot a mistake, let me know. 5 is equal to 21 times m over 21 plus 3. Yes. And did we calculate our value for... Let's double check this math right here. So m times -9, -9 plus 3b, that is in fact -6, and -9 is 3 over 2m minus 1 over 6b, 1 over 6b, 6, 18, 9, 9m. Yeah, yep. That looks good. I guess we're gonna cross multiply. So 21 times 7b over 21 times 72 plus b times 72 over 21 times 72. 5 is equal to all this. So we have 147b plus 72b over whatever 21 times 72 is. Let's see really quick. That's so wrong. My bad. I don't usually do multiplication this way. So wait, 72 and then 40 and then 1400. Yes. Sorry, I was confusing myself there. So 1512. Hopefully we didn't do that wrong. 5 So this is equal to, what is it equal to? 219 over 1,512. So multiplying by 5 on both sides, we get 756 is equal to 219b. Sorry, 7,560 is equal to 219b. And if everything is correct, which I'm starting to doubt, but let's see. 7,560 divided by 219. Yeah, that's not quite right. Let's make sure that 72 times 21 is in fact this number. 72 times, you should always use a calculator unlike me, because you'll make silly mistakes like I did. Which is, that's 70, oh, that's 71. 72 times 21, it is in fact 1,512, and this times 5 is in fact 7,560, and is 147 plus 72, 219. Let's verify that. It is 219. So all this math should be correct, but it's not. Oh, well, this question's got even me stumped, so you can see how difficult this question is. But we just got to verify our math, see where we went wrong until one of our answer choices aligns. So this would be a very difficult question. Let's see. Here we have 21 and 5, 21. Oh, here's where we messed up. 24. I'm silly. So we can leave this. Okay, that's where we messed up. Silly little mistake. Cost us a lot of extra work. So, gotta be careful not to commit mistakes like I do. So then we have 24, and then 5, we replace m for 1 over 9b. So that's 7 over 72, 7b over 72 plus b over 24. That is 5 is equal to 10b over 72, because b, this right here, we can multiply times 3 over 3, which is equal to 7b over 72 plus 3b over 72. So 10b over 72, then multiplied by 5, 360 is equal to 10b. B is equal to 36. So our y-intercept is 0, 36. There we go. That became a lot simpler once we had the right steps. So to recap, this one's a really tough one. You had to set it up in the form g of x is equal to f of x over x plus 3. Recognize that f of x is a linear function, so we do the form mx plus b and divide that by x plus 3. I chose to write it out like this separately because that's easier to work with, in my opinion. So we did that, set up a system of linear equations with any two of these points right here. We chose these, and then once you have your system of linear equations, solving a system of linear equations is pretty straightforward with substitution. If there are no questions about that, we will move on to the next. Now I want to see if there was a better method according to there. Honestly, I don't even know what they did. I have no idea what the SAT explanation for this is. So if you want to check it out, use the item ID or the question ID to find the question on SAT Suite Question Bank or whatever the website is. So if you want that rationale, I'm not going to give it to you because I don't get it. It would take some analysis on my part and a lot of thinking. So this is a very difficult question, but we conquered it here at Terra Nova with one mistake. But once we corrected that one mistake, we managed to conquer it with ease. So, next question. Which expression is equivalent to this? Oh, you can't see it. This expression right here, where x is greater than 7. Well, this is pretty easy, actually. You'll notice 8x times x minus 7 minus 3 times x minus 7, and wait a second, 2x minus 14. 2 and 14 are both divisible by 2, so what if we factor out a 2? So for 2x minus 14, this is equal to, well, if we factor out a 2, 2 times x minus 7. So what you're saying is, we have 2 times x minus 7, and everywhere here, there's an x minus 7. So we can just divide that out, cancel that out, and we just get 8x minus 3 over 2. And that would be your answer. So key here is recognizing the pattern that x minus 7 appears everywhere. In the numerator, in both terms in the numerator, and in the denominator. Only in disguise, because we have to factor out a 2 from both 2x and from 14. And they specify that x is greater than 7 only because if it were exactly 7, this function, or this expression, would be undefined at one point, which is x equals 7. If you don't get what that means, don't worry about it. Basically just means that you're dividing by 0, which is not allowed in math. It's undefined if it's divided by 0. So, any other questions? Any questions about this stuff? Sorry, I'm just checking my notifications to make sure I didn't miss anything from work. I just realized I forgot to do something for work, but it can wait until after the live stream. So x is equal to 49, y is equal to the square root of x plus 9. The graphs for the given equations intersect at the point xy in the xy plane. What is the value of y? Well, this is kind of a trick question. Really, all you have to do is substitute 49 in the, or x in the expression square root of x plus 9, and then you would get the square root of 49, which is 7 plus 9 is 16. So that would be your correct answer. It's a lot simpler than it sounds. Yeah, it's just that easy. So x is equal to 49. Substitute 49 in the expression for y. Y is equal to the square root of 49 plus 9. Square root of 49 is 7 plus 9 is 16. That's all there is to it. So they put a lot of language in there just to confuse you, but you just have to set these equal to each other. Sorry, not set them equal to each other, but substitute 49 for x. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking and dancing. So from there, we can move on to the next question if anyone has no more questions. Is this jazzy lo-fi a vibe or what, guys? Sorry. Anyway, back to the math. H of x is equal to 2 times x minus 4 squared minus 32. The quadratic function h is defined as shown in the xy. Where is it shown? Oh, it's shown down here. So it's shown below. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals h of x intersects the x-axis at the point 0, 0. What? Are we looking at the same graph? These are two separate questions. Okay, now that makes sense. Sorry. So this is defined as shown, meaning what is shown above. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals h of x intersects the x-axis at the points 0, 0, and t, 0, where t is a constant. What is the value of t? This is pretty simple. So h of x of x is equal to 2 times x minus 4 squared minus 32. Your approach to this is going to be to expand or FOIL this. So 2 times x minus 4 times x minus 4 all minus 32. So this part will be 2 times x squared minus 8x plus 16. And then this minus 32. So then we'll have 2x squared if we distribute all this 2 to all this. 2x squared minus 16x plus 32 minus 32. So then these 32s cancel out. And we're just left with 2x squared minus 16x. And this is h of x. So we can rewrite this as x 2x minus 8. Or rather, we can rewrite this as, if we factor out a 2x times x minus 8. And if it isn't obvious yet, t has to be equal to 8. And I'll tell you why. Our zeros of a function happen when we set this h of x equal to 0. So those are the solutions, or in other words, our zeros or our x-intercepts all mean the same thing. So the key thing here is recognizing that h of x intersects the x-axis at the points which satisfy the equation 0 is equal to h of x. So when you hear intersects the x-axis, that's the same thing as solutions, is the same thing as zeros. So the only two things that make this equation true, the only thing that makes the right-hand side equal to 0 is if x equals to 0 or x equals to 8. Because if x equals to 0, we have 0 right here, and that turns the whole thing into 0 because we're multiplying it. And if we have x equals 8 right here, then 8 minus 8 is 0, and that multiplies times 2 times 8, which is 16. 16 times 0 is still 0. So to make this expression on the right-hand side equal to 0, x must be equal to either 0 or 8. So 8, 0 is an x-intercept. And that is correct. Just had to verify, because sometimes, I'm wrong. But not this time. Not this time. All right. We'll answer one more question, and then we'll sign off for the night. So let me move myself again. The graph shown will be translated up 4 units. Which of the following will be the resulting graph? Well, this one's quite easy. We just look at the points which we can observe, which are 2, -2, and 4, 2. So 2, -2 is going to be translated up 4 units, so that's 2, 2. 4, 2 is going to be translated up 4 units, which is going to be off the screen. So really, we just need the vertex to be at 2, 2. And let's look. This one's at 2, 2. None of them are at 2, 2 minus this one. So it's going to be A. And that is correct. So translated up 4 units just means that we take the whole graph and we move it every single point up 4 units. So this point will be translated up 4 units, and this point will be translated up 4 units to right here, right here, and it'll look something like that. Something like that. And that's what answer choice A looks like. So yeah, pretty simple. I'm going to check the homework help shared folder before we sign off to make sure that nobody has uploaded anything. And it does not appear that anyone uploaded anything. So we're still waiting on the very first... Oh, and that was the last question on this packet that I created. So that's perfect timing. So we're still waiting on the first submission of our Terra Nova homework, live homework help stream. So if you all want to be the first to be helped live here on stream by Terra Nova, Christopher from Terra Nova Tutoring, then you can be. All you have to do is to... Whoa, my camera's not focused. All you have to do is submit a question. And we will assist you. And by we, I mean me. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Christopher of Terra Nova Tutoring, and I hope you all have a love. I thought we muted that. I swear we muted that. Why is it still... Why can I still hear it? Why? Let me test something. What? Maybe I fixed it. I think I know what was wrong. So, we're good. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.